I have been told that you have come because you want to understand better what happened in Geneva in 1602 in December, on the darkest night of the year, when our great enemy, the Duke of Savoy, treacherously launched a surprise attack on our sleeping city. Or maybe you're here because you heard there was free chocolate on offer. That will come in a little bit. Don't dash out at the end. There is chocolate for everybody. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Catherine Royaume. I am the wife of Pierre Royaume. He is the master of the city mint. They make our coinage. That's my apartment right there. That's my third floor window. We have a lovely apartment in the city wall, in one of the towers near the city gate. I'm a mother of 5 children, and I have been a long-time resident of Geneva and an eyewitness to the events that I'm going to tell you about tonight. So come back with me in time as I tell you the story of the Escalade. Now, to make sense of what happened that night, you need to know that Savoy and Geneva have been enemies for over 70 years, all the way back to 1536, when the Genevan population were asked, yes or no, do you want the Reformation? And all the hands went up, yes, we want the Reformation. But in doing so, Geneva also declared its political independence from its overlord, the Duke of Savoy. Geneva had been one of Savoy's leading cities up to this point, and as you can imagine, the Duke of Savoy was not at all happy at this result. And ever since 1536, the Dukes of Savoy, one after the other, have been trying to get the city back. They have launched wars against us. They have blockaded us. They have harassed us. But nothing so far has worked. And the Dukes of Savoy are still rather upset about this.
Yes, very mad and very frustrated. My grandfather, Charles III, was the Duke of Savoy who lost Geneva, and he tried very hard to get it back, but he failed. My father, Emmanuel Philibert, also made several attempts, and finally, when I came to the throne in 1580, I made it part of my policy that Geneva needed to be recaptured. Those heretics needed to be taught a lesson. But none of my plans succeeded until I came up with a new idea. What if we took advantage of the winter weather and the darkness and sent an advance party of soldiers into Geneva by night over the walls with special ladders? They could creep into the city and then open up the gates from the inside so the bulk of the troops could go in and the city would be ours. What could possibly go wrong?
Over in Geneva, of course, we knew nothing about the Duke's brand new plans. We did get a vague warning a few days before. An unknown man on horseback came riding up to the city gates, and he shouted out to us that Geneva was in danger and that the Duke was plotting against us. But we thought, yeah, we know that. He's always plotting against us. There was no specifics. We didn't know what to do. No further details. So we had no idea where the threat might be coming from this time around for our small city of about 12,000 people.
My plans, they were all set. The quietest hour of night. Everyone was asleep in the city. I put my plans into action.
The night of December 10 was a particularly cold and dark one. I remember it well. I was up in my apartment. You know, my husband Pierre, he was really quite sick. Yeah, quite sick. So I was going to make him some soup. I have cabbages. I have onions. I have peppers. And I had broth, and I was stirring it up and chopping the vegetables and getting everything ready while I stirred my soup. And every so often I would look out the window over the city walls, and everything seemed quiet. There were city guards around, but it was such a cold night. The city guards were mostly in the guardhouse, but everything looked peaceful.
I reviewed the troops before they staged their attack. 1,200 soldiers in all, with 300 men, our crack troops, who were chosen to scale the walls with folding ladders that we had prepared specially. Their armor was all in black. The ladders had special pads on the top so that they would be very, very quiet, no noise. Our brave elite troops filled the ditch with piles of sticks and then placed 2 ladders, and they went up and over. Our attack was working brilliantly.
Apparently, some 200 of the Duke's soldiers did get over the wall with those ladders. But suddenly, one of the watchmen of Geneva heard a noise, and he came out to investigate, and he brought his superior watchman with him, and the Savoy troops turned on them, and they slaughtered that leading watchman, but the other watchman managed to get his gun to go off to alert the city that this attack was underway. The city's church bells started ringing, and Genevans started pouring out of their houses to figure out what was going on. But it was hard. No one knew what was going on. The city was dark. There's no lights. There was a danger that Genevans would actually kill each other by accident. So, as all this turmoil, the Savoy troops had one main objective. It was to open up one of the city gates from inside to let the advancing army in from the other end. But one of the Genevans bravely dropped the portcullis and prevented that from happening. The portcullis could not be raised, the gates could not be opened, and the major part of the troops stayed outside the city. So now the situation changed. The tide turned against the Savoy soldiers. The Genevans started pushing them back to the walls, pushing them back to the ladders, pushing them back around the corners so that they could be defeated. And the Savoy troops had few options left. They could fight and die on the walls, or they could jump off and injure themselves in the process.
No! What a disaster! My plan failed. Of the 300 men who got over the wall with the ladders, 54 of them died in Geneva. 13 were captured and executed. And the others came back to us injured and defeated. I can't believe it.
Do you remember, meanwhile, I was in my apartment making my soup, okay? I looked out the window and whoa, there's fighting going on. I have to help. I started throwing things out the window. And finally, I threw out the whole soup pot. I knocked him out cold. And ever since then, the Genevans have celebrated the Escalade. Every year, they celebrate the Escalade. They have historical parades, reenactments, and special music that they sing. They sing also Psalm 124, which we're going to sing in a moment. And they've enjoyed eating chocolate replicas of my soup pot. Little miniature chocolate cauldrons filled with marzipan vegetables. And we have these for you. So at the end of all this, when we've sung, you can have your little chocolate treat. But first, a round of applause for our actors. We have Jeff Scheidak, Dean of Students at Calvin Theological Seminary, as Duke Charles Emmanuel Savoy. Dae-hee Han and Paul Choi as the soldiers of Savoy. Vincent Lee as the defender of Geneva. Pierre Boyon as the sick husband. Yes, that's it. Catherine Boyon, myself, the lady with the soup pot. All right. We're going to sing Psalm 124, so everybody get yourselves a copy. We'll sing all 3 verses, and we'll sing the first one in unison and number 2 and 3 in harmony. If you would rise in body or spirit, we will sing together. Our help is in the name of God the Lord, the one who made the heavens with the word, creator of the world, each living thing. Come, bless the Lord, lift up your hearts and sing. Our help is in the name of God the Lord. When
is in the name of God the Lord. Praise God the Lord, who hears the captive's prayer. Like birds escaping from the fowler's snare, we are set free, our praises now ascend. Blessed be the Lord, Creator, Savior, friend. Our help is in the name of God the Lord.
Please be seated and we'll bring out the chocolate treats for you.